council met in executive session to discuss allegations of behavior of a borough employee. And council met to discuss that matter and whatever appropriate actions, if any, would be necessary regarding that matter. The meeting lasted approximately 40 minutes. Okay,
May I also point out there was no action taken.
no action was taken.
I'd also like the record to reflect that there was a spontaneous committee meeting before the executive session. For what purpose, I don't know.
Okay, at this time, does anybody wish to address council?
Yes, I would.
Sure.
Jeff McLaughlin, 25 Gate Street. What I read in the paper about that last meeting, the executive session. But once again, I was here at least four times before council. I provided information to the solicitor regarding the announcement of an executive session. I provided you with this information before. It says you have to be more specific than just saying a personnel matter. My question is, why did you not follow this particular law?
We checked with our solicitor and we're following his advice.
He said at a council meeting after I provided him this, Mr. McLaughlin, you're correct.
In regards of litigation, you are correct.
Okay. May I read this?
I'm not going to debate it. I'm telling you, if you want to debate that with our solicitor, you can feel free.
I already have. And he already said, Mr. McLaughlin, you are correct.
I spoke to our solicitor as late as today.
So when he said that to me, he was
telling you you're
himself?
correct in regards to litigation.
The question was not with regards to litigation.
So I'm just telling you what our solicitor said.
Okay, I'll read the first part of this. The reason for holding the executive session must be announced at the opening meeting occurring immediately prior to or subsequent to executive session. The Sunshine Act requires that, though it is in the public interest that certain matters be discussed in private, which I absolutely agree, the public has the right to know what matters are being addressed in those sessions. The General Assembly intends for people to get this information so they can determine from the reason given that the executive session is proper. Do you get that?
I'm just telling you, listen, I'm not an attorney, and neither are you. I checked with our attorney, and I'm operating off of his advice. So I don't know what you want me to tell you. I'm just telling you, I checked with our attorney that we pay, and I'm operating off of his advice. If you would like to talk to him about it,
I already did. You know, this is like Groundhog's Day. I already did.
just because
He
you
said,
don't like,
Mr. McLaughlin, you're correct.
because you don't like the answer doesn't mean it's going to change.
Let me read this next sentence, please. Thus, the reason given must be specific, indicating a real discrete matter that talks within one of the purposes and best addresses in private. So you're saying again, my question wasn't regarding litigation. It was regarding what is being discussed in executive session. It has to be so that the public can make a judgment for themselves whether that business should be conducted behind closed doors. And you're saying that isn't the case.
I'm saying we comply with the law based on our solicitor's opinion.
Okay, I'll go over it again with the solicitor because, again, fourth time, the last time I had a talk with him, he said, Mr. McLaughlin, you're correct.
Regarding litigation, you are absolutely correct.
It wasn't regarding litigation, Mr. Chalk.
Regarding the legal case that you're referring to is about litigation.
No, it's regarding the announcement of executive
This is
session.
not
what's
my
being
opinion,
discussed.
Jeff. This is not my opinion. This is the solicitor's opinion. Anybody else wish to address council? Okay, we're on the table. Frank, you have anything?
Okay, first of all, in terms of a sign that we're contemplating at 3 Liberty River Park, do we have any progress or further bids on any of that, Barbara?
Mr. Jacob, to say his name correctly, is trying to see if he can work out something with the Eagle Scout troops. There may be an Eagle Scout that may be wanting to do that project completely, and he's checking with them. I don't have an update. I can call him again for our meeting for July.
No, when you said the Eagle Scout is going to take over the project, they
They
do
would
what?
do everything for preparation of the sign, the sign made, if they have to go out and solicit for any donations, so that it can be paid. You see, that's what some of the.
And did he give us any timetable for this?
He's trying to set it up as soon as possible, so that we could possibly meet our deadline for Labor Day. I don't remember the troop number that he has.
I think that's a great project for the Eagle Scout.
I do too.
Secondly, and I apologize that I wasn't here for the safety committee meeting today, but I'll explain to you the reasons why. The one issue that was brought up at the previous meeting, I guess it was May, and that we received emails on concerning the asbestos. Is that something that we can just have put on the agenda for the July meeting? Because you have one quote already from
Well,
Jay Miller.
before I get into anything about quotes, Brian Poplarczyk was working to try and meet either Bob Arnold at the garage to see pictures that I had sent him via email.
Mhm.
He wasn't sure if it actually warranted for us to send anything out.
This
Tomorrow.
is with Bob Drake.
Yes, tomorrow Rich Kresge and Michael Barter are coming to the pool, and if they have any other information, they'll probably provide that as early as tomorrow if we have an update.
And just so we're covered, because that's my primary interest, that, the borough and council are covered, that the inspection that they're doing, they have certifications on
Yes.
file
Oh, yes.
from OSHA and all the other appropriate agencies, that they can do asbestos testing, and
Brian Poplarczyk's their guy.
then we'll get a report on their letterhead stating
I will ask
we
for
don't
it.
one way or the other.
I will ask for that so that we have it.
Yeah, I like something in writing one way or the
Sure.
other. Let's see, the other thing, I'd like, to put on the agenda for July is the email that was received from Chief Hunsinger concerning, the condition of the old SUV. It wasn't an Explorer, it was something bigger than that.
It's an expedition.
Expedition, okay. And that because of the fact that it probably won't pass inspection with the riding floorboards,
Right.
159,000 miles. And then our old Crown Vic, I guess has like 129,000 miles.
121, I believe.
Okay, it's close. The heater coil shop, which would cost at least $1,000, that you and he, and I compliment you on the work that you did, came up with an idea to get a new, Expedition, okay, at 1.99.
That's really,
And so essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, that the bank would give us 1 year without making any payments?
7 months, I would say, deferred payment.
Okay. So that essentially, with the deal that they would be giving us, it would cause, and the money that we would get from the sale of the old vehicles would cover as a down payment, so that bottom line is, we could get this new vehicle, and lease payments would not increase over the whole life of the lease.
We wouldn't have a payment until January 31st,
Okay.
and I think it's, let me pull my email.
If I read it correctly, essentially all we would be doing is taking the money that we have already budgeted for a lease payment and just extending it for X amount of years. So that money's already budgeted. It wouldn't cause a new budget item.
Well, there would be a little bit of an increase compared to what we're currently paying based on the vehicle that they've given us the quotes for.
Okay.
But it wouldn't be very much because we would be able to have that offset for first year, the proceeds that we received from putting the vehicles out for bid or auction.
And it would also help us in terms of money that we would have to spend on
Maintenance.
vehicle maintenance, stuff like that. Okay. So
We could actually
if-
probably
if-
take about $3,000 out of the vehicle maintenance budget line item
okay.
and add that to the payment, so it really wouldn't cost us anything. It might be
So if we
slight-
could just, bring that up for discussion at the regular meeting.
A slight difference.
Can you look at what the fuel cost would be?
Yeah,
I know
was
you
gonna
said
bring
to me
that
about
very
the
same
terrain. From what I understand, they're supposed to be much more fuel efficient.
It's
But
not
now,
efficient, it's not gonna be fuel efficient.
but
And the other thing, the tires are gonna be a lot more expensive on it, I mean, you're talking off-road tires,
I will look into all of this so that we'll have it for our meeting, okay?
you know, it's gonna be over $1,000 for tires on it.
Can we compare it to the new Ford Interceptor?
When I asked about that, I think that,
$600?
there's
Four tires?
the issue of size and style.
Chevy Traverse is over $1,000.
We can certainly do that now. If I can have that for the July meeting, that would
Yeah.
So for the July meeting, you have all the numbers.
I'll have all of that, and we'll send it to everybody on council so that you can review that.
Thanks for the,
Barb, could we please have like a complete summary of what this proposal is, as far as trading things in and, units getting deferred and all that? I mean, I'd like a complete summary, not just, oh, here's what it's gonna be.
Well, I put it in the spreadsheet for you,
Okay,
okay?
all right, thank you.
that's everything right now.
Just a quick update. I really tremendous work. We met with DEP, we met with the county, everything is right on track. Her paperwork was very helpful, and her skills. It's almost a done deal. We're really close. I got an update from the Westside Composting Association. It looks like the fees are going to be, it's not in stone yet, but it's going to be about $3,200 a year. It's about
From the Composting Association?
So if we do get this up and going by August, we would pay $260 a month for the rest of this year, and then next year our dues will, I think they said the dues are May, are due.
I
So
think you're right.
we'd have till May to, and it's a one-time payment, you have to just, you can't pay it monthly. We would-
That includes it in the grinder and everything else?
Yes. And once again, this isn't written in stone. They're also saying that any new municipalities or boroughs coming in from this point forward, they're going to charge a one-time $1,000 fee, which we would be subject to. That is because the boroughs that went in took a loss on the grant. The grant didn't cover, so each borough had to chip in X amount of dollars.
I don't have a problem with that.
And that's to cut, and if 10 boroughs or municipalities go in on this from this point forward, they're in the process of setting up a maintenance account on the machine, because it's pretty expensive. So once the grant is satisfied between the four that are there, they're just gonna keep throwing that money into the maintenance account. And then lastly, they discussed paying Karen. I think it was $100 a month, and that was her numbers. Everything's gonna be in writing for next month, so.
And that's gonna be split up between all the different,
Yep.
$100 a month?
That'll actually be, that's already in the dues.
Yeah.
There was enough money left over in the kitty, so it's actually in the dues already,
Okay.
but they want to try to formalize
And that's,
that.
each municipality is paying $100, it's $100 aggregate.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's really it on that end. I spoke with Barbara, Friday it was. I asked Barbara if she can come up and find some money for us to get our loader service. Our loader is very overdue service. And if we decide to go down this road, we're going to be needing our skid steer to actually get that composting going. And that's way overdue on service as well. So I just asked Barbara if she could try to help us find some money in the budget for that. Because we're going to be using it. Once it breaks, it's
about $500 that we know of for the skid steer, and probably about $475, $525 that we're thinking for the motor as well. So if I can probably take that out of the fuels, I'll probably be able to do that.
We could probably get the skid steer a little bit cheaper,
That's what we're hoping.
what we're hoping.
We're waiting for additional prices from Medco.
I think if you took a larger view of the whole thing, and the amount of man hours and fuel costs and vehicle costs from not driving down Newport Township, the money's right there.
Oh, yeah, but for this year, we have to definitely look at what we're thinking.
So hopefully that should be up and running for the busy season.
We'd like to have everything in place for at least the middle of July or the end of July at least.
Okay.
That's that.
What municipalities are ready to come on board already?
Pardon me?
What municipalities are ready to come on board?
For the West Side compost?
Yeah, for the,
It's just us at this point. Squaresville is very
We're
tentative.
just thinking about it.
okay.
They're very tentative. So
Right.
they don't know what they want to do yet.
No, I think even if we go alone, I think it's still a great idea.
Yeah, they don't know what they want to do yet. But I mean, for $3,200 for the year, it's kind of like,
Just to rent a tug grinder, I think it was like, I can't remember the monthly fee, but I know it was ridiculous. Like $8,000 for a month or $12,000 for a month. That's ridiculous.
No, as I said, even if we go this
those
alone.
fees and selling the compost, correct? Some, I mean, we're certainly not going to.
Down the road, yes. but
Yeah.
It might be.
Not expecting to make money with that.
3 years before we would probably see anything.
or it will probably take.
About 3 years for it to develop into the
And
compost.
I would say at least 2 to 3 years. To return everything and get a good product, yes.
Thank you very much. Very happy to see you.
Yeah, it's really fast track. I mean, DEP she was very nice.
Yeah.
I thought she was, and she's great. The last thing is just a question of Dottie. The pool, do we have any daycares in town coming up to our pool? Do we like offer a program for daycares?
I know the one on Slocum Street would walk kids up. I don't know if they do anymore. I know they used to.
I go to the park.
That's one thing I can spell.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen them walking over there.
There, I know they use the park, I don't know if they use the pool.
They
don't. They don't? Okay, so no, they don't, yeah.
I was just wondering if there's, I don't know what age groups they have, but if we could offer them a special rate to try to, we're there anyways during the day or whatever, we
Right.
will, if we could help the kids out. I think we have, what, 4 daycares in town?
Depending on the age of the kids,
That's-
probably the lifeguard supply that we have would not be enough
Yeah.
to monitor
You don't have the age of
little
kids in
people.
daycare.
You know, if you've got a 2 or a 3-year-old, you're gonna have 1 or 2 lifeguards watching
Well, I just thought it'd be
3 or
good
4
for
of
the
them,
kids.
not the ratio that we have now. That would be my concern.
And that's all I have.
Okay, since you brought up the pool, what we have done, okay, is we've initiated a couple of things at the pool that are different than last year. We now have a slushy machine, which apparently is a huge favorite. We have a machine that does the cheese for the nachos instead of the old crock pot that we used to have, and that's a big favorite. We have also initiated this year for the first time, especially for the parents of younger children, pool parties during pool hours, which would get the little kids in. You know, if you have a 3 or 4 or 5-year-old, you're not going to have a birthday party before noon or after 7 o'clock at night. So we initiated the party at the pool. It involves admission to the pool, a hot dog or pizza and a drink for everybody that comes. Balloons,
Up to 30.
up to 30 people. Right. Balloons will be provided. The individuals, the party parents or whatever, can bring their own cake and party decorations. But we're kind of hoping that that might get more people into the pool during the regular pool hours. And there's a fee of $100 for 2 hours and $125 for 3. And then the extra cost covers So, we haven't had any reservations yet, but I know there's summer coming. I know for a fact, for sure summer coming,
That's
so.
great.
And Danny, that's $100 for how many hours?
2. And
And it was,
everybody
and it
comes
was 125 for?
for 3. Mhm. Now, that's for the resident rate. Non-residents, the rates would go up, I think it's $30 more, which is what it is for a pool party after hours as well. Which is why we are encouraging other communities for that, $200, their residents can have resident rates at the 44 pool.
And then for that fee, that paying 100 of the 125, that includes their hot dog, their drink, the food and stuff like that.
Right.
So, potential that we have is if people are coming in that don't, even if they live in 44 days and everything, I think, a nice pool in their fee, get a couple extra memberships out of it.
That's exactly, right, that's the idea.
Can you put the rates on the agenda for council approval? Council approves the rates, so just add it on there, so
Thank you.
we're formally approved.
Is this posted there?
I made up everything and everything's there.
Okay, yeah, all the information is there, it's being posted at the pool.
And I know you covered this, and I probably just missed it, 'cause I was taking notes.
Oh, okay.
Do they have to pay any additional to have their own lifeguard?
No,
That's included in the cost of the party.
Okay.
Yeah, that's included.
So an additional lifeguard is dropped?
A lifeguard just for
Just for
the
that one,
party,
okay.
yes. Yeah. Everyone will have a specific color wristband, so they're the party people. Everyone will get a ticket, and when they want everybody to have their hot dog or pizza and their drink or whatever, they take the ticket and they go.
Yeah, at least this way we have a lifeguard designated
Right.
just for that.
Yes.
And it's not taking away from the regular public
Yeah.
starting responsibilities.
The other thing that is new, I don't know, people probably don't know, there used to be what was called a 40-foot recreation association. They're the people that had provided the Halloween parade and the treats for the Halloween kids and the Easter parade and the Easter egg hunt. They informed me at the end of the Easter egg hunt last year that they are no longer going to do that. Primarily because of the people that are involved. Their kids are older now and they're not into Halloween and Easter, they're into baseball and soccer. So a new organization is being established. Their first meeting is tomorrow night. It's called Families for 44 Park. There is a posting on Facebook. Emails have been sent out. It's a regular posting on Facebook as well as the site of I Live or Lived in 44. So if anybody wants more information on that, the first meeting is tomorrow night at 7:30 at the gazebo in the park. And they are looking for volunteers. Everybody's probably got a lot of great ideas on how to use that park. One of the other things that we are actually going to do is we are going to initiate movies in the park. We're planning, yes, if everyone else agrees, tomorrow night, the first one hopefully is going to be July 3rd, which is the night before the big holiday. One of the families has been able to obtain a 10 by 10 foot screen for us to show the films on, as well as a projector and a sound system. It's going to be free. Everybody just has to bring their own chair and a blanket. We're hoping that what we can do is to continue this at least maybe once a month or maybe more often, maybe on Friday and Saturday nights. The first one especially, we're not sure what movie is going to be there, but there will be free popcorn. The concession stand at the pool will be open, so if anybody wants to buy pizza or slushies or candy or whatever for the movie, the concession stand will be open, okay, from 8 until 9:30. So that's another way to get people involved in what's going on in Freeport. Use the park.
Good job, Danny.
Good
job.
Good job.
Oh, thank you.
That's a great job.
Now for the non-fun stuff.
You have a question for you?
Yes.
Being that it's a committee being set up, does that have to be advertised and it's not out?
It's not a
No, it's
governmental.
not a body of council. This is volunteers, families of young kids in 44 primarily.
Are members of council council want to be on the committee?
Sure.
I hope so, because I'm going.
Just thought I'd ask.
Okay.
Do they have to be residents of 44?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the name is Families for 44 Park.
Okay.
You know, and one of the things, by the way, that we're trying to do is come up with some ideas that we can raise funds in conjunction with the $50,000 matching that we have to get for that grant. So Barbara and I and Bonnie and some other people are working on some ways that we can raise some money. And one of the things I'm working on, I haven't had any success yet, but I think I might be getting a little bit closer, is the reinitiating the sale of bricks for the path in the park. And if we can get that going again, that would be a wonderful fundraiser.
Did you talk to Jared Lamar?
I didn't talk to Jerry Lamarck. I talked to Rose Ritchie, who was also involved in that. I talked to Jerry Lamarck last year. He kind of indicated that, you know, that's a great idea, but he's got other things on his plate right now.
Okay.
Right?
And I spoke to him maybe the end of last summer, beginning of the fall. He said he would be willing to help us, but he would definitely need somebody to spearhead, because he's involved in a couple other things. And I told him I would be willing to help him with that as well.
I just suggested because he was the last person to do it.
And he did a great job from what I understand too.
From our safety committee meeting this afternoon, there were two issues that relate to the pool or the park. And the first one is that the maple tree in the park, the big maple tree in the park across from the pool, it really needs to be trimmed back and pruned. The last time it was done was probably about 10 years ago. And those branches are getting really big, they're full of leaves, a big heavy rain, it's very easy that some of those branches are going to come down. So we need to figure out some way to get those, I don't know if it's in the budget, but that needs to be taken care of.
There's some money for parks projects or whatever, but can we get some close maybe?
Okay, I can find out who did it last time, but I know there's a lot of tree trimming people that are at 44 residents use.
There's Eager Beaver out on the 8th Street, there's tree service.
There's a lot, yeah.
Tom's Trees has been
He's been very fair to us.
he's been the cheapest lately.
So maybe we could
He
get
just did
some.
those huge ones up at Dana Street. Huge.
Well, that brings me to the second issue, speaking of huge. There is a huge pine tree in the park by 1061 Wyoming Avenue. It's probably about 100 feet tall. And it's got very shallow roots. And what's now happening is the resident there, especially in strong winds, the tree is swaying and threatening her house. So now I don't know if somebody can look at that and see if it's a danger when they come to look at the maple tree or whatever, but certainly we need to recognize her concerns.
Let's talk to Vinnie Control on that. Ask him for his advice and opinion on that.
Tommy,
Yes,
if you're on the ave looking into the park, where would that tree be?
Right next to the house, that's
right next to 1061.
1061, yeah, with,
There's a house, there's the open area where the sign that says Wyoming Avenue
Okay.
Park. There's another house, that house.
okay.
So to the left of
it's about 100 feet tall at least.
So it's the one in the middle of the park, essentially.
If you
The house in the
look
middle of the park?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
at- if you look at our property line,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
by the edge.
Okay.
that's it.
Okay. Rob? Okay, I have one thing that I'm going to give it to Barbara, because she probably give it 65 different things to talk about. Number one, last meeting we talked about the noise ordinance. I emailed that out to everybody on council. Everybody should have hopefully received that and had a chance to look at that. We had the authorization at the last meeting to advertise that, so that will be advertised for the July meeting. So did anybody have any problems or corrections to that?
And I would bring it that with me, but is that the one that said you can't do anything on
Holidays.
holidays?
That was Tamara's comment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there a reason
Do
that
you want to take a look at this?
Is there a reason that we're limiting that to holidays? Or, I mean, that we're saying that.
Can't do it on holidays?
No, you can't do anything that creates noise on a holiday. And I have to agree with what the mayor said, a lot of people, that's the only time they have off to do
That's
so.
right.
So it doesn't matter to me, one way or the
Yeah.
other. It's council's.
You know, I can personally, I hope I say this the right way. I can see excluding that section that states you cannot do any work around your home on a holiday. Okay, and you know, the reason I bring that up, you know, you said, there's a lot of people that, because of work schedules, you know, work around the house means absolutely nothing, that they have to get it done on a holiday because of their work schedule. What about a situation where there's, I don't know, busted water main, busted sewer main, you know, on the person's property, and that holiday is on a Friday? And whether they bring in the repairman on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, they're still going to be absorbing the rate. They want to get it done as soon as possible so that there's no further damage to their property, right? And, you know, I can understand the intent of it, that, you know, for a holiday, a lot of people like quote-unquote peace and quiet and things like that, but, you know, to say that you can't do anything around your home on a holiday, you know, I think that's really micromanaging. I can see excluding that section.
Okay.
I do too.
You may have objection if I strike where it says or legal holidays.
I have no problem with that. I mean, we have to vote on the official.
All right, well, I just want to advertise it that way.
Yeah, I don't have any, I mean, I think you should be allowed to do. I've worked in my house on holiday.
Barbara, I struck it on here, it's just 3 words, and I'll contact Sam tomorrow, ask him to send us a clean copy of that.
Great. Thank you, John.
And we'll advertise it that ordinance.
Correct.
Okay. Any other comments on that ordinance? Okay. Barbara passed out the other ordinance we discussed at the last meeting, the failing to mow. Steve's not here, but I talked to Steve after that meeting about what he thought would be fair. I talked to Sam, I gave Sam the parameters that Steve and I spoke about, and it's in this ordinance where we reduced the 10 days to 48 hours for the first warning and additional 24 for the second warning. What does everybody think about that?
How do we enforce this 48 hours and 24 hours when we have no idea how long it takes the letter to get there?
Well, they'll have to either send it certified or they'll have to post it. That's, you know, that's something that they're gonna have to work out on their own.
I think they should have, I think we should put it in here that it needs to be posted, you know, as opposed to.
Well, I wouldn't want to tie our hands saying it has to be posted. I believe they have, or at least I know they had in the past, where they had these tickets where they can post it. They had, you know, this is your
Put it on the door or something?
stick it right on your door.
Okay.
Here's the only problem that I have. We have many, many elderly residents in this community. A lot of the elderly residents live by themselves. They're the people that unfortunately go into the hospital, you know, for a lengthy stay, be it for an emergency or a non-emergency situation. So let's just pretend that we have an elderly resident, 70 years of age. They live by themselves, they're in the hospital for 15 days. There's no family in the immediate area that can get grass fed. They're going to get these warnings posted on their house when they're not there. Can we put some provision in there that the property owner should be notified in person? I know.
Now, if you do that, then, you know, some of these out-of-state landlords, you're never going to be able to get hold of them. I think a better option may be to, you know, waive the fee in cases of extenuating circumstances, but
Well,
I don't know how to codify that.
I think in any police action, which would include code enforcement, I think the officers, I'm speaking code enforcement officers, have the discretion to make a decision in that circumstance. And certainly, if it went to before a magistrate, the magistrate can certainly consider that circumstance. He has, people have been cited in the past, and those types of scenarios have been presented, and he's just dismissed it. So, I see what you're saying.
I would just hate to see, you know, some resident
So you're saying,
be penalized via, for something they have no control over.
I'm with you, Frank. I don't know how to put it in.
Yeah, I don't know, but, the way that you presented it, Joe, is if it does go before the magistrate, the person will plead their case there, and, hopefully leniency courts.
that, or, if that seems to be the case, I mean, we have a pretty up-to-date file on a lot of the residents, so I think, maybe the code enforcement officers can search the file to see if there's ever been a history. I think the problem here is that there's repeat offenders.
Right.
Most people that get that notice go and take care of their grass right then and there.
And as you said, with the out of the area landlords, because just along the same line, our famous property at the corner of Hughes and Murray,
Yeah.
at least last night, there was a person there cutting the weeds, in the backyard. And, that's been an ongoing problem for us. So, it is something that should be addressed, in here.
So, okay, so, I'd like to advertise this for.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way that we could put it into writing, and I think there's ample protection, for extenuating circumstances through the quasi judicial process to have some type of protection there. I think it's okay as is.
That was my only concern.
Yeah, I have a problem with it.
The way that it is now, who will accept?
Well, I'm under Rick's
Oh, I'm sorry.
comments first.
I just don't want to get into the grass cutting business.
What am I saying?
I just don't want to get into the grass cutting business. And what happens if we don't provide a 24-hour library?
Well, what it says is
Scheduling with
that-
our DPW guys.
Yeah. The borough's gonna cut it.
And what if we don't get to it in 24 hours? Well, scheduling, because we're on hand every time.
Yeah, but
Sooner or later, they'll
our
file.
maintenance though is, should be scheduled to the point where, they're cutting grass every week.
Yeah, well, they're cutting the grass every week.
They're all
For our property, oh yeah,
Yeah.
they're cutting our grass every week.
And I must say also, in light of all of the discussion that we had at the regular council meeting with Lyme disease, et cetera, this needs to be done. That is a huge problem, and tall grass is one of the places those bugs love.
Well, I don't disagree, I'm just wondering if we should extend some of those hours just a little bit longer, 24.
24 is only after, so they
Yeah,
would get,
that's like
That's
the second one.
That's
The
after
shortest-
48 to begin with.
the absolute shortest is what happens.
72 hours.
Number one, you gotta get your grass greater than 6 inches, which is what it is, depending on the rainfall, could be
At least a week.
a couple days to 10 to 14 days, depending on rainfall. And then another 72 hours after the absolute soonest, you'd be subject to us cutting it in fines. So you're talking anywhere from 5 to 21 days.
And I don't think that, the zoning officer's gonna be sitting there, issue a ticket on, noon on Monday, and then at 12:01 on Wednesday, be going and slapping another one on there.
So you have to trust our judgment, I guess, on something. We can't legislate everything.
I agree with that as well.
So if it doesn't work after a couple months, we can always reevaluate
And
it.
it's not a lot better than 10 days they had previously.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, that was too long.
I guess we can advertise it as is, and then if there's any concerns at the council meeting, consider it. Okay. Or I know you had a couple things that you wanted to talk about.
I agree.
Okay.
First of all, I just want to remind everybody on council that we did receive an invitation for the Luzerne County Boroughs and Townships Association meeting, which will be Wednesday, June the 19th at 12 for lunch at the Best Western in Wilkes-Barre. I don't think anybody has actually attended any of those meetings. It's a nominal fee of $5 for the lunch, and their guest speaker is Robert Wan from Luzerne County, our manager, who will be speaking about the state of the county. Also, I was asked to try and contact PennDOT to see about the weeds being cut by the Cross Valley. That was taken care of.
Okay.
Looks terrible,
I know that when they went to cut it, Rod, it rained. We were also trying to coordinate, Luzerne County prisoners are assisting us with the preparation for our inspection next week for the creek. They were here today. I'm not sure if they're coming back tomorrow, depending on if I have my cards, that they can be with them. We're hoping that they'll at least give us a few days, not sure. I did speak to probably about 6 different trash haulers. Joe and I had talked about a community-wide white good pickup.
Well, I didn't necessarily just want to
Well, white good, whatever pickup. One of the ideas that I'm waiting for 2 of the companies to get back to me about is, and a tentative meeting, hopefully by the end of this week. Say we would charge $25 for a large washer or dryer, you would get a red colored sticker or something to put on that. And then another item such as, say a large table or a recliner, something like that. You might pay $15 for, 2 small end tables or lamps or an old chair, a small rocking chair, or something to that effect. And you'd have a different colored sticker for that. Bonnie and I would sell the stickers at the administrative office, and then we would provide a list to the hauler so that they would know, yes, these people paid, you should see this on these stickers on their items, and they would have a street list so that it would be very efficient for them to come through if we chose a week. I was looking at the end of August or the middle of September, because it's the off week for recycling. Hoping that, we would be able to put something like that together. I don't have final numbers of prices, but we really didn't want to go any higher than maybe like $35. Some of the haulers that will come in to charge, they may charge like $150 for just a few items to remove from your home. And I think a borough-wide bulk item pickup such as that would really be beneficial. And I've talked to different people and they're like, wow, that hasn't been done in many years. I don't know how long ago it was though.
we did a white goods drop-off. When did we have that flood?
Oh, back in
2 years ago?
2011?
It was a long time ago.
2 years?
Yeah, but it was,
Tropical Storm Lee and Hurricane
it was
Irene.
before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was some kind of
There was a
storm
dumpster down at
because,
Rover Rock.
that's what I'm talking about.
I think it was,
But-
6 or 7.
Maybe that was Hugo?
Yeah, because it was impacted by the storm.
Okay.
And in my tenure, that's the only time we did it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was more than 2 years ago.
Yeah. I brought this over because I just paid for the couch. And all my neighbors came over and said, how much you pay to do that? And they were like, why do you do this? So
Yeah.
that's where it came from.
How much did you pay for your couch?
$40 is the cheapest thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Why didn't you put it in front of Bonis's over here? That section.
That's what my wife wanted to do. $40 is the cheapest I can get. And that was, we call everybody in the board.
Well, I called quite a few haulers and believe me, they thanked us for at least the interest, but there were some that they just wouldn't be able to accommodate us at all. Mascaro, Solomon, and United are the 3 that hopefully would have the information out very shortly.
Very good. I think a lot of residents will take part in that program.
Joe, I think I sent this to you about the 5-year hazard mitigation plan update. We have to have a memorandum of understanding.
Yes.
FEMA requires a written record.
Yeah.
But you have to have that.
So we'll do that in the agenda in July meeting.
Yes. The police quotes we went over, and everything in a spreadsheet for that. I've been back and forth with Comcast. Ever since we signed our agreement and did our resolution, I wanted to see when the borough could get our free internet access. And they're not actually honoring that free internet access. It would be like upgrades, but now they're not even wanting to really be bothered with the upgrades. So I don't know if I have all of the information. If Joe, maybe you can do me a favor and see if there was documentation about, I thought somewhere I read or we talked about 4 areas to be serviced
Right.
within the
I know you're talking
borough.
that. I have to check my files.
I can't find,
Well, what does the actual contract say regarding that?
from what I understood, that we were supposed to have free internet access at our municipal building.
Right.
And what Phil had said to me was that they advised that they discontinued the practice of allowing municipalities to pay any difference between the commercial level and the residential level of internet service, because if you have your own IP address, you have to pay that additional level, and we have our own IP addresses. So that causes the conflict of receiving free internet.
But does the contract specifically say free residential service, or does it just say free service?
I thought that it said free service, but
Okay,
I'll
that's what we
check
need to
that
look at.
for you. I'm just trying to-
And then I will check my records on that, and then we will. What does Phil say?
He said because of the inconsistencies that have happened with the different representatives, that's why Comcast is making this choice, that they don't want to be responsible for selling internet service, that practice was causing more harm than good. And he would also try and talk to the Sterner again, and
Well, let's
he's
do.
been having a hard time to get in touch with her. He's been playing phone tag.
Well, let's see what the contract says. Let's see what our notes reflect, and then we'll decide. Do we do something else?
Right. And then Rick and I went through everything with the composting. I'm just very happy that we're able to move this forward as we were in the short time period that we did, and we're still working some bugs out, but I think it's a very positive move. Police chief asked me if I would forward this patch for everybody to have review of the patch. We pass that around Franklin. Council's approval, I believe they wanted to order.
A lot.
That was a real lot.
500 of them or something?
Yeah, 500.
It's really high
I don't
number.
remember, but I know that it was going to be paid through what he hoped with some investigative funds from the DA's office.
And he thought that would last us several years.
Yes, that's what he said, it would last us a long time.
So is it for approval at the July meeting?
Yes,
It wasn't much money, was it?
Yeah, it wasn't a lot.
I can't
For that many
remember.
patches.
I apologize.
$1,000?
Yeah,
I thought it was less than that.
I thought about that.
I don't remember, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And that's what he said his ordinance was.
Today I received a notice for the council of government. We did discuss the changes that they made to the articles of agreement. We did discuss advertising at our last meeting, but they've asked if, because Wyoming Borough, Luzerne Borough, 44th Borough, West Wyoming Borough, Edwardsville, Kingston, they had theirs on the table, but because they're home rule, they're a little bit different. They've asked if all of these boroughs would like to actually do a joint ad. And I have a sample of the notice. I'm just not sure if that's something that council would entertain.
I would just say, because we've had a history of ads not being done properly, that we at least consult Sam before we agree to join that. I think, just to be safe, we should just do our own. But I'll leave it to council's discretion how to handle that.
I'll leave it up to say.
Well,
Yeah.
Sam will finish.
I defer to Sam's
So
judgment
it's
on that.
Sam on that.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
If I could just make mention of this, anytime that I do try to do any of the advertising, I try to keep it very concise and let them know that there is a full and complete copy at the borough office, and try and reduce the costs on that so that it's not, and I don't even have an estimate as to what these costs would be to do a joint ad. So I think that's a determining factor as well. If I can get that estimated cost, if she has an estimated cost, all she has to do is take our name out of here, and we can do our own, and just make it as concise as possible, if that would be something the board would consider.
Well, let's get the price information, let's check with Sam, and then, you have to advertise this by what, next Monday?
Yes.
So we got a couple days to get this done.
Barbara, does the cog have an attorney?
It was
Jim Moore.
attorney,
I mean, is he gonna look at it too?
Attorney Moorbeck, I guess, is the one who actually wanted to have this in place. But she had a date of June 15th, I told her, I said, "Are we ready for that?" That's when she wanted it back.
So that's the problem, is everybody has different meeting dates.
But
That's our trouble, yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah, so that's why I said just do our,
Yeah.
Okay.
that's just my opinion.
Um, Quad3 was working on the proposals and for our sewer rehab project, and they just delivered a bid document to me about 4:05 this evening. So I haven't had a chance to take a look at any of that. It's very lengthy. I'm going to need to take a look at that because we wanted to try and keep our targeted dates so that we can do our adoptions and everything for bidding purposes to be awarded. I'd really like to try and take a look at that tomorrow after my meeting and then get back to everybody on council, because if I can have them advertised, if everything looks to be in place as what we discussed, and I'd like to really see that we can move forward with that, with getting back to our targeted date, because we're only a couple days off. I have a meeting tomorrow with Quad 3 regarding the eyewash station, and I'm waiting for other information to come back for the pool. I have to finalize that grant by the end of July, and I'm really looking to see, what some of these cost factors are. I'm hopefully going to know something maybe by the end of this week.
We'll also need for that, or I think we'll need to adopt a resolution to authorize the application.
For a July meeting, yes. I also think for one of the other grants, I think we need another resolution jump to. I don't know if it's Penworks or if it's.
Well, that was me at the end of the month. Yes.
So.
We'll have to retroactively, or because the application's been going before. Because that one's due with the 28th.
Oh, this one?
Yes.
Confused.
Penworks is the 28th.
Okay, so I was thinking that two of them were next month, I'm sorry.
And then the Keystone Greenway, whatever it's called, is due at the end of next month.
Right. I also talked to Tom Tiskey from Lisa Baker's office, and they would really love to see,
My mistake. We're not applying for Penworks. We're applying for hazard mitigation money, which is at the end of
Flood
next month.
mitigation.
Flood mitigation, which is at the end of next month.
That's why I was thinking maybe,
Yes. We want to submit the sewer project for Penworks,
Right.
which is due at the end of this month. But we can just take the USDA application, tweak it, and submit that.
Right. And I'm still waiting for a couple more estimates on renovating any of the basketball court renovations that we need. And then I have one more thing that the street department and I, with these trees, we went through the borough, and there are a lot of bad trees that need attention that I need to know what council has done in the past. I've got 173 trees throughout the borough that are bad, either on the tree lawn that I feel that, some of them should be homeowners' responsibilities. and how we are supposed to handle this, John.
Here, because trees are such a controversial issue for us, what we have done in the past is we've sent letters to the homeowners saying, your tree needs pruning, whatever it may need. And we're giving you the opportunity to hire somebody to do it on your own, to your preference, or by a certain date, the street department will do it.
Are we allowed to prune trees on a tree lawn? I don't know if I'm allowed to
Who?
ask that. Homeowners.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you couldn't do anything without
Yeah, you
permission.
can,
You have to submit an application.
you can submit applications free of charge.
But so you have to get permission first to do it.
Yeah.
That's
But
what
if
I'm
we're
saying.
sitting on letters saying,
Treat your own land.
sure, pruning your tree, it shouldn't have to be going to the shade tree commission.
If we do that, no.
Yeah, that's what I'm
We would
saying.
simultaneously notify the shade tree commission.
Oh, okay.
But what I'm saying is homeowners can go ahead and do it on their own.
Right,
anytime.
right.
Right, but we have to get permission. to do it.
Yes.
Right, that's what I want. to know.
Normally you would have to,
Yes,
yes, you have
thank
to
you.
submit an application and.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know Barbara is reviewing that application process, because I know there's some issues with it right now.
And also, I cannot find the list of approved trees. Cannot find anyone. Maybe back now.
Yeah, the shade tree commission should have that.
Well, Carol doesn't have a copy of it, she asked me for it.
I know Dave Williams at one time gave us all,
I
I
don't know what it was.
think it was, Dave Williams at one time gave us a 2 or 3 page list.
We used to have it posted on that green cabinet.
What, the exact kinds of trees?
Yeah.
Approved trees.
Do you still have it?
I don't have it, but I know I'm not very right for planting a cherry tree in my yard. That's what I understand.
Or as long as you brought up this issue about,
I did.
trees that need pruning and everything else, what about a scenario where there's a tree on a tree lawn, and because the large roots causing sidewalks to heave up, and they're uneven and they present a danger?
And then they start painting the sidewalk orange and yellow, that's real attractive.
That's when you're going to take the tree right
Yeah,
down.
but
That's
that's sued.
You were waiting for a last
So what do we
one.
do in a situation like that?
There's a sidewalk on the street to the side.
You still have to make a request.
Yeah, they still have to.
First state law, first state law, the homeowner is the owner of the adjacent property. The only is responsible for not only the maintenance of the tree and the tree lawn, but also the sidewalk.
The only thing we've done proactively on that one is in the ordinance now to remove a tree. If you cite, if you apply to shade tree commission, they deny your application. And when in your appeal, you cite heaved sidewalks, damaged sewer line, the ordinance actually requires you to fix that stuff that you're citing as the reason why you need to remove your tree.
No, I was just wondering because, just walking around, like I see, and you see the same thing, a lot of the raised, sidewalks and stuff like that. And especially now that it's nice weather and the kids are out of school, the way they run around, just and everything else. And not that they don't see it, and, there's more and more people out that are walking now and,
That's it, there's more walkers.
But we as the borough can't pay to have those sidewalks.
No, I'm just wondering, let's just say, for example, that John Bell that lives on Wyoming Avenue has that type of problem with the tree, and UGI says, we'll take the tree down for free for you.
That's still,
I'm talking about a perfect scenario.
that's still their responsibility to fix that.
So, but in other words, he would just have to tell the Shade Tree Commission, I have UGI is going to take the tree down for free.
No, they don't need to tell the shade tree commission who's gonna take the tree down, they just need to get permission to tree them down.
Okay.
Then usually I can take it down.
Right, and I
Yeah,
understand.
sure, please. ma'am.
Carol asked for estimates.
Several years ago, I don't
Including
know how long
that
ago,
application.
10, not 5, whatever, a tree in front of my house, beautiful tree, rotted the whole inside. Part of it fell down on the road. UGI came, took care of it. He said, we'd love to take the whole thing down, but your borough won't let us. It took me 3 months of coming to borough meetings, submitting bids for this tree before I could have it taken care of. I replaced my sidewalk, I replaced my sewer lines, and the
That's it.
UGI would have done it for nothing.
Ma'am, that's a function of the manner in which the Shade Tree Commission is set up. I mean, the Shade Tree Commission is set up so that it is it's a commission, you know, it's independent from council. And council appoints the members of the Shade Tree Commission, okay? And then they go and they do their own thing. You know, we can override them.
But I mean, if there's people that have complaints about their trees, in UGI, if they're doing their wires, they take them down. But
All I can
if
tell you is I
there's
know
all
there-
that, they're not gonna come back and do it.
I understand, there's a lot of people, and unfortunately, 44th, that can tell your story, unfortunately. And I know Barbara, and Bonnie has told me that over the last couple of months, there's been similar issues with how the Shade Tree Commission operates and makes decisions. So I know they are looking at that, and hopefully, going
Trying to
forward,
expedite it.
we can
Trying to keep on.
look at ways to improve that process.
I can see where, you know, you can't leave everybody just tear their trees right down. But mine and my next door neighbors, hers, you could see it was cracked all around the bottom. And within a second, a car went by, and like within a second, that thing came down, and luckily it didn't hit that car.
Right.
Didn't we modify the ordinance with that, with the Shade Tree Commission has to notify?
They
Within, right, you know, they have to notify the applicant within 30 days.
Or it's approved.
Or it's approved.
Yes. Yes. that
Okay,
is
so,
correct.
so now, if someone has that, if someone happens to ask me that, but on their tree lawn, they have a very large tree that's causing the upheaval of their sidewalk. They want the tree removed, so what do I tell them?
Come to the borough building, submit an application.
The application goes to Barbara, and she will date it.
As
Yes.
soon as I get that application, I scan it in and I send it to Carol.
And
It's
then,
emailed.
And
like-
then that goes to Carol,
right.
and then Carol decides yes or
The
no.
commission, Carol doesn't
Why
have,
not?
She has to
Carol,
talk to the commission, she goes out to
Okay.
do it.
there's up to 5 members of the commission. I think there's only 3 or 4 that are actually appointed
Okay. So the tree commission issues a verdict.
right now. Right.
If
If
they-
30 days issue verdict, or it's deemed approved, the application.
Okay. If they don't take any action within 30 days, or if they say no,
Well, there's 2 different things. If they don't take action within 30 days, then the resident can assume that it's been approved.
And they have to respond to the resident in writing,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
okay.
Within the 30 days.
Yes.
Carol usually writes approved on on their application.
Okay. But let's say there's no action within 30 days, what's the homeowner's recourse? They can take the tree down.
Take the tree down.
They can act like it was approved.
Okay.
Now, what about, how does that work with the cost sharing program? Because if the Shade Tree Commission approves a tree coming down, we normally cost share.
Based on budget. So I think we
They
can,
didn't do this initially.
you know, we didn't put it in the budget this year, but it's based on what's available in the budget. So I would say that it's a case-by-case basis, and it's council's
And
budget.
then if the Shade Tree Commission says, we're denying your application, they appeal to council.
They have so many days to appeal that.
And the council overrides it.
They can take it down.
If we override it.
Okay.
Yeah, if we override it, they can take it down, and they have to, within 1 year of our permission,
Right.
make the repairs that they cite as a reason why, if they cite any, other than the tree's dead or whatever. If they cite the sewer line has been cracked or whatever, they may cite, they have a year to fix that. And then they have a year, they have to make a deposit, and they have a year to plant a new tree. And if they do that, they can deposit it.
It's $200 deposit, isn't it? 250.
Why do you have to plant a new tree?
What's that?
Why do you have to plant a new tree?
It's the way the ordinance is written.
In the ordinance.
Because of one lady.
Why is everything based on?
Market is based on one lady.
It's not the lady, it's the Shade Tree Commission that's been here for.
I asked her to prune mine, and she told me absolutely not. I mean, it was banging off my gutters, I pruned it, I mean, is she gonna pay to replace my gutters when it goes through my gutters?
No, but sir, you can, she denied you permission to prune your
Yes,
tree?
that's why I'm glad she brought up about pruning, when I first bought my
Really?
house, yeah. She was across the street doing her little thing with one of the trees, and I went over and asked her, and she told me I couldn't prune it. It was banging off my gutters, it was going by my front windows, I pruned it, I had to help with her, because I'm gonna be
No,
paying for
no,
the window in the gutter.
Well,
I don't.
What's
know
our
her
stance
reason-
with,
I don't know what her reason would be to deny.
because she always says, oh, tree needs to be pruned.
Yeah, I don't understand that one. We'd have to ask her that
I'd have to
specifically.
check it out.
And we perhaps need to expand our ordinance and to include not only, you know,
Taking it down, but pruning.
yeah, not taking it down, but pruning as well. If,
To overturn their decision? I think we
Yeah.
can, I don't think it says specifically, I don't think it differentiates. If you get denied by the Shade Tree Commission, you have the right to appeal.
oh, okay. Well, in that case then, sir, I mean, you could could have come to council and say.
I did, I mean-
I understand the situation, but,
He said no, so you turned it anyway.
Yeah.
yeah, there's,
When do they meet, the Shade Tree Commission?
good question.
That,
It's only
Because
on-
I'd like to know.
Well, she usually hangs out like across the trimming the trees and stuff.
You asked me a question, great.
Joe.
Joe Holden asked.
You asked me a question, Joe?
When do they meet, Joe?
I don't think they have an actual schedule.
Tell you.
That's on the
They
next
meet
Tuesday.
as needed basis.
Oh, wow.
So we take that, so.
It's fine, but it costs back.
I thought they had to have regular meetings and the meetings had to be open to the public.
That is true.
And they had to be held in a public place.
You told me. Remember that one time you told Carol, the first, sometime.
Before the work session.
In the first week of the month,
I think
she
before the work
could
session.
use council chambers?
I think it's before the work session.
Yeah, it was. I remember
Yeah.
she asked for that.
I remember she was given the time and the use of.
And we advertised it, but we haven't done that since that time.
Well, if they're holding meetings,
I don't,
Rather
I
than-
honestly don't think they're holding meetings.
well, I agree, but how are any decisions being made then?
I can't answer that.
I think she
That's-
takes them all.
That's why Barbara and Bonnie are evaluating that for us.
We're trying to really work with, expediting processes and getting things much more organized than when they were in the past.
I predict a proposal.
Maybe that's why there's 170 some trees throughout the borough that are in the situation they're in.
And some of them are actually a danger right now. They're very heavy tree limbs. There are some that are rotting from the inside. Some are very high up that our borough workers, we don't have a bucket truck. We certainly can't, do anything like that. If there's a storm,
This is thunderstorm season.
absolutely, if there's a large storm with high winds, like even last year, when I walked into when we had the 125th, we had trees down all over.
Remember the big tree at West Seminary Road?
And,
When that thing came down?
I fear for the damages that could be done if we don't have something.
Death to a child.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I think that's about all I have.
Bonnie, did you have anything?
No.
Okay.
Did anyone else want to address council on anything?
Just on that tree commission, if you're going to change the ordinance, you may want to consider putting that, let's say the electrical utility, if they deem it a hazard, that they should be able to remove it. I mean, especially in those situations with the storms. They're out there, you can save your residents some money if they can say, hey, this is a hazard and it should come down right now.
There are some exceptions to the rules.
There's an emergency.
There are the fire chief, the police chief, the code enforcement officer can all rule an emergency and it can come down without permission. That protection's already in there.
Maybe
That has been used.
should tell UGI that maybe, let that know until.
Using it a little more often.
Yeah. We said so, communicate that. Before we adjourn, I just want to wish Joe Holden, he's leaving our area.
I know you're all upset.
He's loved covering 44 over his years, so.
Where you going?
Pittsburgh.
Oh,
So,
that's for you.
Yes, good luck to you, Jim.
Good luck to you.
on behalf of the 44 council, thank you for covering our meetings, regardless of the tape, and wish you best in Pittsburgh.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
At that, we can leave, adjourn.
I've seen her in action. I think it's a funny story that makes people important
Jeff, before you go, can I just get a quick comment from you about the meeting the other day?
I was here for that.
I know, but you obviously raised some concerns. Real quick, I want to talk to Jeff.